everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Becca and today we are going to be talking about what I wish I knew when I first started collecting houseplants. So this is the sort of third installment in this little mini series I've been doing over the course of a couple years. The last time I updated about this video was a while ago, so I'm gonna link those videos down below. So if you want more wisdom like this, you can go check out those videos if you haven't seen them. They are from when my hair was very long, so it was a while ago. Anyway, I'm really excited to be giving you more things that I wish I knew, more reflection. I was asking my patrons what they wanted to see from me, and that was a really big request, was what I would change about my houseplant collection and how I started collecting plants, all of that stuff, what I would change. So we're gonna do that today. What I really wish is that I would have known about spider mites like from day one, because now I'm thinking back on all of the plants that I've had that have just like randomly died, no explanation. And I'm like very, very certain that it was spider mites or something similar. I think honestly that it's only ever been spider mites. I don't think that I ever had thrips back then. Actually, I'm not even gonna finish that sentence. I'm sure you know what I was gonna say, but I'm not gonna finish that sentence just because I'm paranoid. Anyway, so I've really only ever dealt with spider mites and mealybugs and fungus gnats, which fungus gnats are not bad, they're just annoying, which by the way, finally eradicated my problem with a systemic pest control, SNS 209 from Arbico Organics and Yellow Sticky Traps and my Catchy. Anyway, back to the subject, which is knowing about pests from day one. So if you are brand new to keeping houseplants, make sure that you know how to identify houseplant pests and what to do when you find them. So I have a video all about houseplant pests, how to identify them and how to eradicate them. And it has a lot of information. It was a crowdsourced video, so I got a lot of information from you guys. And then I'll link a few other really helpful pest videos. My friend Rose did an amazing one where she was like looks at the pests under a microscope. Amazing. Okay, I might have touched on this in previous versions of this video, but it is to buy plants that work for my environment and not plants that I just like and want to force into my environment, especially as a beginner. Like now, I think that I could really buy any houseplant that I want and I would be able to make it work, but that's because I have the experience of multiple years of houseplant care to know how to manipulate my environment correctly to give the plant like the best life that it deserves. So when I used to go into plant stores, I would just pick out whatever looked good to me, and I wasn't thinking about my windows. And in my book right here, Houseplants for Beginners, a big part of my book is talking about how to just shop for plants, what to do before you even go to the plant shop. And it takes a lot of intentionality to remember to do all of these things before you go. And there's definitely a lot of room to just like buy something that looks fun and then come home and figure it out later. Like you can definitely do that. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that. It's just that if that's your only way of collecting houseplants, you're going to have a collection that is way too big, way out of control. What I say is before you go plant shopping, you need to walk around your house with your notes app open and take down different areas that you think houseplants would look good. So I have a big south window in my kitchen, so that's fun. So I have lots of light. So I'm going to note south window, kitchen. And also I'm going to think, are there any obstructions? Like, is there a big tree outside my front south window? Yes. So in the summertime, it's not as sunny in that window. In the wintertime, it's very sunny in that window. And just go through your house and sort of take notes on what the different places that you could put a plant are. And if you really, really don't want to do like your own research with that information, if you feel a little overwhelmed even with that, you could just go to the nursery and say, hey, I have a south window with a big tree out in front of it. What plant do you think would be good? And they'll be able to show you what plants would be helpful. Now, maybe not like on busy days, but if you go like during the week or something, I'm sure that they'd be super happy to help you out. I don't know every nursery in the entire world, so I can't say for sure that they will like be super glad to help you, but I'm assuming based on my experiences and what I've seen at plant nurseries local to me, they're gonna be super happy to help you and give you a plant that will be successful. And on that note, the next tip that I have have is to make relationships with your local nurseries and just talk to the employees, chat with them, get to know them. Maybe you could make a friend out of it. Honestly, a lot of the people that work at my local nurseries are very, very cool, and just seeing their faces like pretty regularly, because I do visit my local nurseries quite often, you start to remember each other, and there's like a nice little rapport that you can have. I don't know, just chatting about all the new plants coming in. And honestly, like when you make friends with the employees at a nursery, obviously if they have the free time to just like sit and chat with employees, it isn't always like that, like I said, but you might be able to learn about like new shipments coming in. They might even let you buy a plant that isn't necessarily for sale yet. I don't know, not that you want to be their friend just so that you can have a personal gain, but it's just nice to make a plant friend, especially in that environment. You know that if that person works at a plant nursery, they love plants and they're probably pretty knowledgeable about it just because they are constantly immersed in this environment. And also like a couple months ago, I was doing a book signing at Vintage Hill here in Columbia. Well, it's actually in Franklin, like 40 minutes north of Columbia. Or is it east? I don't know, it's in Franklin. Anyway, when I was in there towards the end of the book signing, this girl came in with her boyfriend and they had this jade plant that was not doing very well. And like, I've never seen somebody do this before, but I thought it was really awesome. But she brought in the plant and was like, I don't know what to do. I got this here and I'm killing it and I'm really nervous. And she had like 4 employees like standing with her and supporting her and just trying to help her figure out what was going on. And a lot of the times, like bigger nurseries will have some sort of like clinic or like repotting station where they'll repot plants for you. And you could probably go talk to them as well if you're wanting like specific information about your plant. Yeah, which leads into another tip that I have, which is, speaking of fungus gnats, one just flew around me. I feel like they're never going to be completely gone, you know, but their population is significantly less, like significantly less, and I will take that. It's just one of the realities of owning houseplants. Let me just pop that in. Fungus gnats are just always going to be a thing, and there's going to be people out there who like want to make you feel bad about it that you have fungus gnats, but I just think that's the most silly thing in the entire world. Like, actually, just in general, there will probably be people, as in any online community or just like niche community, there's gonna be people who think they're better than everybody else. And I actually talked about this on my Instagram stories a couple days ago because I got a comment on my video talking about how like I really shouldn't be giving plant advice because of XYZ. You know, you have imperfect plants. They were like pointing out all the flaws of my plants in the background. And I was like, well, that's the whole point. I'm not here like pretending that my houseplant collection is perfect. Like literally nobody's houseplant collection is perfect. Like you go into nurseries and conservatories and in nature and the plants there are not perfect either. They look good, but they're not perfect. Like they're tattered, they sometimes have brown tips. Like these are just the realities of owning a plant that is not even supposed to be living on this continent sometimes. So it's just a funny thing when you get people in various communities who want to make other people feel like crap because they're not perfect. And I have actually had people comment on my videos saying that they have never had pests and they've been collecting for 25 years, or they have a perfect collection, never had a brown tip, and they've been collecting for 10 years, blah, 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 you know, all these comments. Maybe they're telling the truth and that's great for them, but also that's just completely unrealistic and not how it goes most of the time for 99% of people. Like if you've never had a pest, very, very, very much disagree with you. You definitely have, and maybe you just didn't notice, which is what happened to me at the beginning, which is what I was talking about at the beginning of the video. So anyway, yeah, that's a big thing. Like just with the houseplant community and as it shifts, I have noticed a lot of like elitism and sometimes like even like classism and things like that. And it's really ugly, and I think it's best to call it out when you see it and just, I don't know, like be loud about how your plants are not perfect so that people are understanding like what it actually looks like to own houseplants, because it is a lot of like accidentally killing plants. It is a lot of brown tips. It is a lot of like overwatering on accident or underwatering or forgetting about a plant entirely when it gets like behind another plant on a shelf and you don't see it. These things happen, and if there's somebody who's out there like trying to make you feel bad about it, what's the point? You know what I mean? Like I don't know, like I don't know how else to say it, but they're wasting their own time and yours, and like you really shouldn't worry about it. And literally everybody who you admire who owns plants has imperfect plants and has killed a plant. I have done it a lot. So, you know, I don't want anybody to put another person on a pedestal and think that they're perfect because of whatever. It's not true. Even if they like don't share their plant flaws online, no, it's not perfect, okay? So I guess that's like a little tangent that I wasn't expecting, but that's kind of why these videos are fun. So let's get back on track. The next thing that I wanna say is to focus less on rare plants and the acquisition of such plants. So at the beginning of my plant collecting, I really never thought about rare plants. I didn't even know what that was. And also when I started collecting, the market looked very, very different. Like the market has very much changed in the last couple of years. So not to be like a back in my day type of thing, but back in my day, it wasn't so much about rare plants and finding the most expensive and elite plant out there. And things have shifted, and there's still definitely people who really, really care about that. But I think and I hope that there's a shift coming back to just wanting to fill our spaces with greenery and just beautiful things, regardless of the price tag and regardless of the rarity. Now, I'm not gonna say that I don't hunt for plants. Like I definitely do, it's fun. But I wish that I would have not made it like the most important thing in my mind about collecting plants. For a while there, I was really, really wanting to catch all of them in a very short amount of time, and I did. But now that I have them all, you know, what's fun now? You know, I guess finding other new quote unquote rare plants, but you know, it's not as fun as when you first like see an album monstera in person. And I know that I've talked about this on my channel before, so if you are a frequent listener or watcher, you've definitely heard me discuss this before, but just take your time in collecting your plants and growing your collection. There's really no need to go from 0 to 100. There is a big desire to, but I think that it's much more sustainable for you and your plant collection and your wallet to do it slowly, because honestly, if you have a lot of plants and you buy a lot of plants at once, you're not able to give those plants the attention they deserve, and you could end up with a really bad spider mite outbreak, or you know, killing a lot of the plants because you don't have like the timing down of the watering. It is a big responsibility to take care of plants. Like honestly, I have a large collection, I'd say like 150-ish. And if I have a watering day where most of the plants need to be watered in the same day, it's basically a full day affair. So that's not fun. And I try not to make myself do that. I like to spread things out and have like watering zones. Just the shock of going from never having to water a plant to having to water 100 plants is insane. And you're definitely going to miss plants. And if a plant gets a pest, like you're screwed. You're not gonna notice because you're worrying about like putting out all these other fires. So I would say don't worry about the rare stuff right away. If you wanna do that, that's totally fine, but don't make it your top priority at the beginning, and also collect slowly and be intentional about your choices. Think about your individual spaces and how many slots you actually have for plants, and fill up those slots and give yourself a couple months to reevaluate. And then if you want more, you can create more places in your home with more slots for plants. But until then, just sort of chill and figure things out and research, do a lot of research. And speaking of research, all of these topics are sort of just blending into each other. But the next thing that I wanna say is that no one on the internet can give you the answers that you need. And that is an interesting thing for me to say as a human on the internet making a video about plant care and everything else. So the thing is, every environment is unique. Every plant is unique. You know, I've had 2 Monstera deliciosas. One of them was very picky and the other one was not. And they're the exact same plant. So that doesn't really make any sense. But that kind of stuff happens all the time. And secondly, each home environment is unique and different and will provide different lighting situations, different temperatures, different just humidity levels, all of these things. Every environment is unique, every plant is unique. So you're never going to find blanket advice that is actually specifically helpful to you. Now, there's nothing wrong with going online and trying to look up why your plant has brown tips. That is actually something that I suggest that people do. When you see your plant doing something odd, look it up. Search up why my plant has a brown tip, why my plant's new growth is really small. Search these things up because you'll find videos that I've made, that other creators have made. You'll find academic articles. And with all of this information you gather, I really encourage you to synthesize that information and come up with your own solutions. So what we can all do, people on the internet, we can give you ideas for why this might be happening, but you're the only one who can truly decide why it happened. And at the end of the day, you don't even need to know full concrete why it happened. It's just nice to have a general direction where you can sort of shift your plant care to see if it helps or hurts. You'll probably find in your searches online for, houseplant care that a lot of advice is adverse to each other. I don't know what the actual, contradictory, there it is. You'll find that a lot of the advice is contradictory, and that is because there really is no single answer. And so, as I said, you need to find that answer for yourself. No one but yourself can really most accurately diagnose your plant, because I am not in your living room standing next to the window looking at your plant. I'm not there every time you water the plant. I'm not there every time you fertilize. You are. So you are the one that can make the best decision. And I really, really suggest that you are an observer of your plants. This goes back to my earlier point with acquiring plants slowly. So if you buy a ton of plants like right away, you're not going to have time to observe them all like as you would if you had 3 plants. So you can't see them grow and shift really as much if you have 100 of them. So when a plant starts growing weird, you're not going to really notice. So that is usually a good indication that your plant has a pest, is when the new growth looks kind of funky. And you might not notice that if you have like 100 plants all crammed together. You might not even be noticing that the plant has a new leaf, because this plant has a new leaf and this plant needs water and this plant needs to be trimmed. All of these things you might not even notice. This is one of my favorite like de la plantisms, and I'd love to get it like on a t-shirt or a poster or something, but plants really are the best teachers, and they are the ones who will tell you what they need. And you only need to watch and listen and observe, and you will know exactly what your plant needs. Be a student of your plant and take the time to really understand what your plants are telling you, because though they cannot speak to us, they will tell you what they need just in their own way. And you just need to be a keen observer and listener to understand what that really is. And the last tip that I have for you, the last thing that I wish I was better at the beginning, or I wish I did differently at the beginning of collecting houseplants, is I wish that I remembered that I get bored with my plants when I stop experimenting with them. So experimenting with houseplants is one of the most fun things to do, because it keeps us on our toes. And again, it makes us better learners and listeners of our houseplants, because we can manipulate their environments, we can propagate them, we can grow them in different ways, like on a trellis or on a wood plank. There's so many different things and ways to grow your houseplants. And I think by doing things only one way, you're missing out on a lot of opportunities to learn and experiment. So for a long time, I did only moss poles for my plants, and now I've completely changed to wood planks. As you can see, I've got a few right here. And I would say that it's been a really fun transition, and it's just been interesting for me to sort of look at these plants in a new light, because I'm seeing them as like little rock stars, like trying something new. I don't know what it is, but like doing the same thing all the time in the way that you care for your plants can get really boring really fast. And so I really love to just switch up my routine, and I wish that I was better at doing that in the beginning, because there have been a few times in my plant journey that I've been kind of stagnant, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like there's definitely a lot of like ebbs and flows when it comes to collecting houseplants. Sometimes you're going to be super into them, and sometimes you're not going to be, which I think is another thing that I wish I knew at the beginning. I think that it's strange if you expect yourself to be like all in on something at all times. We're gonna ebb and flow in our interest and excitement with houseplants, and that's totally normal and totally fine. And honestly, I suggest it, because you can come back to your houseplants completely reinvigorated and feeling fresh, and with new ideas and new possibilities to experiment with. So yeah, my latest experiment has been these wood planks, and prior to that I did like a lot of wet stick propagation. I'm doing more wet stick propagation now, but when I first started doing wet stick propagation, I was so excited to see, I don't know, what would happen. There's lots of research out there on different types of propagation methods and ways to grow your plants, and just get online and check these things out and try them for yourself. And actually, in a video recently that I put out, I said that I don't think that you could do tissue culture at home. A bunch of people commented and said that you actually can. There's like kitchen kitchen testing kits where you can do tissue culture at home. So I'm definitely going to be looking into that. That might be my next like fun adventure, to see maybe if I can clone a plant with tissue culture. I don't know, I haven't really looked into it that much, but I did see those comments and I was like, is that my new thing? I don't know, it's just fun, and sometimes experimenting can even be just buying a different type of plant than you normally do. Like this Gapertia here that I have back here. That was a bit of an experiment and it's going okay. It definitely could be going better, but you know, I'm learning a new skill, because prior to this, I really did not do Gapertia or Calathea at all. And so it's fun just to try something new in this controlled environment where I feel like I've got a handle on my plant routine and I had room in my brain plant schedule to add in an experiment, and it's been really fun. And I really suggest that you do the same to keep your mind fresh and sharp and just always learning something new when it comes to houseplants. Anyway, so that is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that you learned something new or took something to heart and take it with you in your plant philosophies. I always say that your plant knowledge should be like a fruit basket. So you're taking a little bit from every person that you hear from, and you have your beautiful basket of fruit plant knowledge. So I hope that this gave you a few wonderful pieces of fruit for your individual fruit salad situation. And if you're not already, make sure that you are subscribed. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I think I have a Patreon where I do live streams. We have a monthly plant clinic, and we have a Discord channel, which is really awesome. And sometimes I post extra videos that are just extra content, like deleted scenes type of things, or blooper reels, or just entirely bonus videos. So definitely go check that out. I have it linked down below if you're interested. And yeah, that's all I have to say. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!